right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. I'm Stefan Spijkers. I'm co-founder of PIM Vendors, and today we are joined by the CTO and CEO of AICA Data, Stian and Isaac. Before they go into the meat of this session, discussing the usage of agentic AI in mapping GS1 UNSPSC, maybe even showing how that works in a live environment and taking your questions and example products maybe. I'm going to quickly bore you with a few housekeeping details on this session, which is being recorded. So if you miss parts of this session or you have to drop out early, or maybe you joined late, don't worry, we have a full recording of the session available afterwards, and we'll be sharing that with everyone that is attending. And that is one. Second one is we have a comment box on the right-hand side, both on LinkedIn and on Riverside, where we're also hosting a simultaneous casting of this session. And so please drop your questions or products you want to have mapped live during the session later. Drop them there. Ask your questions to the speakers. Give us your comments, your feedback, and we'll try to weave those into the conversation or pick those up right away. And if not, we'll come back to you after the session to give you a satisfactory answer. Then finally, quick introduction of PIMVendors.com. We are a product data consultancy, and we focus on PIM, product information management. We really cover the whole range from onboarding product data to publishing it on your favorite channels, your output channels. Try and make that whole process as efficient and effective as possible. From onboarding that data and mapping that data with tools like AICA Data, to managing and enriching that product data in a PIM, to getting that data to your e-commerce channels, your app, your catalogs, and making sure that that is all one smooth process from beginning to end. And instead of being tied to one or two or three solutions, we are an independent organization and we are independent product data consultants, which means that we can pick and choose from any of the 250 PIM solutions that we know of and find the best fitting puzzle pieces for your puzzle. And that might be PIM, that could be AI tools, that could be bypass layers. We basically try and find the best fitting solution setup architecture that can help you not just now or in the coming year, but actually 7 or 10 years down the road, as you don't want to change your PIM every 1 or 2 years or change your IT architecture significantly in the coming 1 or 2, 3 years, or at least replacing new parts every 1 or 2, 3 years. Now, having said all that, I know you're all here to see the AI, the agentic AI in action. But maybe before we head on over to that, Isaac, I know you wanted to share something and give us a quick background. Please do so and take it away.
Thanks, Stefan. Yes, no, well, the one thing, we've known PIM vendors for more than 4 years. I'm Isaac Murray, the CEO of AICA Data International. I'll tell you a little bit more about the company itself in a minute. I've got more than 30 years experience in the MRO or in the industrial manufacturing, mining, oil and gas markets. So a good understanding. That's my intro.
Stian, maybe your quick background.
So I'm Stian Maria, the CTO of AICA Data International. My background is in software development, specifically data and machine learning, and then recently everyone calls it AI now. But yeah, come from the machine learning world.
I thought it wasn't fashionable to call it AI, but it was still only machine learning. All right.
Yes.
I think the audience is very curious as to what you have in store for us. And if you have any questions, we're with about 20, 25 people here today. Please drop them into the chat. But before we dive into the actual demo, I know you have a quick presentation for us today, Isaac. So maybe if you would be able to share your screen and then take it away from there. And yeah, again, if anyone has any questions during the presentation or during the demo, drop those questions in the comment box and we'll take that part. We'll take that over there.
Can you see my screen yet, Stefan? It show up?
Not yet on my end. I'm not sure.
Just check.
Good news is this is real live. So that's a proof to the audience that we are not AI agents and a pre-recorded session. And for the final recording, we'll just cut this part out of it, so it looks like one smooth experience. I do see one unknown error on your side. Yeah, not sure what it is. great that you do this, and then 5 minutes, you do this, you prepare this 10 minutes before, and then 5 minutes later in the live session, of course, it stops functioning.
See if you can see my screen.
Oh, not yet, Isaac. No.
I think I'm gonna
Can
quickly try and share from my side. Just give me a sec, and then you can let me know
Sure.
if you can.
We tested it just before
This works now. This is the
All right, Isaac, you can just let me know when to carry on to the next page.
Oh, you can see that. Okay. Yeah, there were a few changes on it, but yeah, thank you very much. So this time we've done this some 4 or 5 weeks ago, and the reason why we're doing this again is due to the interest. Quite interesting. There's nearly 370 people that registered. We know that about 10% of the people actually attend the webinar, and about 90% of the people actually then afterwards go and watch it. So just an overview of AICA Data. So we're a product data intelligence platform, and that's a new category in software itself. It lies below other categories like ERP, PIM, MDM. So it's a category on its own, and it focuses really on using AI to enhance the quality and consistency of product data. And we automate the tasks like data cleansing, enrichment, comparison, and helping businesses to effectively manage large volumes of data across industries like manufacturing, oil and gas. It is a very large market segment. What makes us different? I think it's because it's faster, more accurate, and cost effective. And that is where the value comes in using AI opposed to doing it manually. If you want to go to the next slide. So, again, understanding the problem that we solve. Nowadays, there's huge volumes of product data that's being created on a daily basis. But if it's not properly maintained and upkeep is not done, it has an effect across the business itself, like supply chain, procurement, marketing, and finance. And I think these pictures depict it quite nicely. In the olden days, we had film cameras, and it was easy because you had a very limited amount of pictures that you could take, but it was much more expensive. Now, with digital cameras, the amount of pictures, we're not limited. There's actually an overabundance. To store it and to manage it becomes a challenge. I'm sure all of you on your mobile phones also, when you take pictures, you sometimes struggle to maintain it. If you don't immediately delete them, if you go back 6 months later, you'll see there's just a huge amount of data created. You can go to the next slide. Thanks, Tian. So from when we last chatted, we focused pretty much on the API and people just digesting the UNSPSC classification or the GPC classification. But what we found with different projects now in the last month and a half is that there are challenges in the data. That's why we also kicked off on some of our other projects, and we call it the AICA AI Navigator, where we take a multidimensional intelligence engine and analyze target companies using product data and AI delivery to really get a better idea. We've also found that some of our customers or some of the people that come to us don't necessarily have a full understanding of the benefit of classification or any other AI efficiencies that they can get out. It's really, AI is new. So how do you use it? Where's the benefits? We have a method and we built a tool and a service now, and we call it the AI Navigator. Thereafter, we move towards internal data where we analyze the internal data and provide information. I'll show you one of our sort of basic reports on classification. And it gives you a clearer idea of what the road looks like ahead. Everybody wants ROI. Most of the clients that I speak to also say, I actually don't care about anything. I just care about ROI. How much you're going to improve my business? What is the benefit? Is it cost effective? How's it going to work? And then we go into a proof of value, depending obviously on the size of the project itself, where we then take a segment and we prove how it works in your business or in the customer's business itself, and then go for full data cleansing and enrichment. And the final side, sure, so many companies we've seen in the past, they think once they've classified and cleaned their data and enriched it, they finished. No, you're not. It needs to be maintained. And hence we then move into a maintenance phase where, depending on the organization itself, is it on a monthly basis? Is it on a quarterly basis, 6 monthly, or a yearly basis? But you have to maintain your data, because otherwise within a few months, you're going to have the same challenges. And people ask, but why? It's clean, it's good. The challenge comes in with us being people. People make mistakes. There's errors that come in. And that is the value that we then bring. Stian, you can go to the next slide. I'm actually quite glad I gave the presentation to Stian as well, now that we... So again, explaining just the foundations of what we do. First of all, why do we have such a high accuracy? Our foundational level is the AI and the algorithms that we trained with specific product data. Now, if we haven't done that, we would have been a ChatGPT or a Perplexity or Grok or whatever that gives you a 30% accuracy. We operate above 80% accuracy. So we trained our models and our algorithms to be able to deliver the services that lies above the AI line. And that's product data cleansing, and then the enrichment and creation and comparison. Now, quite interesting as well, before agentic AI, one would, let's say, for instance, do on language detection and correction, you might take out all the abbreviations and duplicates, well, not duplicates, plural, singular. But by doing that, by cleaning and that part of your data, it might pop up as a duplicate. So in the olden days, manually, you then have to go back and run this same process on deduplication, the same on attribute enhancement. That's why the agentic layer goes across all different segments that you see in the four main blocks there. And that's moving forward into the technology space, creating APIs into any system, and that's where Stefan and them come in providing advice on systems itself. We just tie in. Why did we take this strategy, or why are we moving in this direction? People are tired of buying software. You don't want another level or another piece of software in your company. You want to use your existing systems and enhance the functionality within those systems. Hence the development, make it much easier, more smooth for organizations to integrate. Next slide, thanks, Stian. One of the other projects that we started working on with Stefan and some of our other partners across the world, we call it the AICA Smart Capture. We found, if you look at the picture on the left-hand side, by the way, they AI generated. I actually find them quite amazing how good the quality is. But the problem of a master data manager or somebody within the organization that says, what does the word screw mean? There's not enough information, attribute information for me. What do I need to do? In my data set, there's 50 different mentions of the word screw and different prices and different quantities, but they're not duplicates. What are they? I don't know what they are. And that's where the smart capture comes in, where a warehouse operator or technician or somebody anywhere in the world can take a picture of it. Attribute enhancement gets done, runs via the AICA system, and we can enrich his screen. So I wasn't able to create the enriched screen for you. Maybe on the next presentation we'll be able to do it. But I think it's actually quite amazing that one can do that with AI now. Next one, thanks, Tian. So we're talking about agentic AI. Previous time I showed the slide. So agentic AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can act autonomously and make decisions and learn from interactions. Manual processes, we understand. We've seen emergence of RPA, or robotic process automation, but there's some errors and there's some challenges in robotic process automation, and that's where AI agents come in that facilitate it better. You will also see that the traditional players in the RPA space are also bringing in Agentic AI to do it. This technology makes a huge difference, and moving ahead into the future, it will automate a lot of tasks and improve our optimization a lot. Stian, you can go to the next slide. Just to give a bit of a visual representation, so the agent sits in the middle. If you look at the top side, it sends a request to a large language model that looks at the task, the role, the prompt, the reasoning, the planning, and it goes back to the user in a response from the query side. And again, the whole process, that's why it's an agent. It can do multiple things, not at once, but it also finds the best route to give you the best answers itself. I don't see any questions in the comments section, so please do feel free. I know Stefan is standing ready and he will relay that through. You can go to the next slide. Thanks, Stian. Also, what is important that we didn't highlight on our previous presentation is, what is the actual benefit in your organization? Where does it bring benefit? And this comes out of extensive research. If you look at your sales in e-commerce, by having categorized items, there's a 23% greater conversion rate on products itself. How does that work? At the end of the day, if you can't find a product, you can't buy it. And categorization simplifies that process and ensures more accurate finding. And 16% search-driven revenue via structured catalogs. So if your catalog is not structured, and everybody's starting to do that, but it is quite hard when you've got 1 million items to manually ensure that your categorization is right, or if there's a change in taxonomy. And this is where our technology comes in. On customer service side, the proof is that 56% resolution time from classified ticket routing. So improving the process there, 20% faster issuing and handling from a customer service perspective. Next slide. So that's all customer facing, revenue generating, making more money. And operational cost savings, and we try to condense this. There's much more information. We've got some really very good reports. If you go and look in our blog section, there's a couple of white papers that we're writing, or that has been written, that would soon be published on our new website that hopefully will go live by Friday. But if you look at inventory management, the benefits in the matrix there, 25% inventory accuracy. That makes a huge difference. Reduction of 20% in discrepancies. What effect does that have? Multiplying effect does that have across your different business units? And then from procurement side, 5 to 10% cost savings via classified spend data. Spend analytics, you can't do proper spend analytics if you don't have proper classification, if your taxonomy is not properly set up. And then a 15% duplicate items removed throughout product classification. And that's why I showed you the other services as well, because as we're going into classification for clients, there is other discoveries that one makes in the data where we can bring further enhancement into the service itself. Next slide, thanks, Stian. So just to give you a bit of an idea on reporting that we do nowadays is, when we've done classification, and this is based on the quality of the data, we give you a confidence score. And we have found that the perfect match, near perfect, and good, in most cases, is great. You can go that way. Between good, fair, and needs enrichment, that's where further enrichment needs required. One needs to verify that data. We can do that via scraping systems that we've got to enrich the data. But I must say, without human in the loop, it does not work. We always need a human being just to verify the data and double check those real anomalies and come back. And hence the accuracy, where we move from 80%, we can go to about 99% now. Getting 100% is quite difficult. Okay, next one. So I've shown you this slide before, but just the difference between doing it manually and doing it with our AI-powered classification. 250 days. I can tell you that in this example, we said 1 day to use the AI agent to do the actual process. Then the manual side, 5 days. With a scraping solution that we've got in now, we can even reduce that 5 days, bring it down to about 3 to 4 days. So technology advances the whole time, and it makes a big difference. Next slide, Stian. And I think it's over to you, Stian. But in the meantime, while Stian is setting up on his side, are there any questions?
Yes, that's a good point. So if you have any questions, please just drop them in the comments bar. I have a question, or at least a comment I'd like to share is regarding the importance of process or people. I think you covered that quickly as well. Isaac. Like, how do you see sort of the data governance and the importance of data governance in the data governance process?
Sorry, you just broke up for.
Yeah, no, no. So how do you see the tooling that you deliver interact with the data governance process and maybe even the people and the training they get?
So from a data governance perspective, again, we've got our processes that we run, but we have found that each and every customer, depending on the size and the rules and regulations that they've got to comply to, guides us in that side. Most of the classification or the product data that we classify are publicly available information. So there's not necessarily a challenge from an NDA perspective or any other legal compliance, but we do when a client says, we want you to comply to this or ensure that these guardrails are in place, that we adhere to those standards. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, maybe one more is regarding the data and where it is all built on. I think you also showed a slide where you have sort of the data as the base layer of this in practice, and you should also share like the confidence intervals, and that in, I don't know, the 95% confidence interval is about 50%, but there's also needs review and you need the human in the loop. How do you see data quality interfering with the tooling that you offer, and how important is it to get that data quality in order before you start a process like this?
Interesting, very good question, Stefan. Every time that we receive a data set, it's completely different. It's like a signature or it's like a fingerprint. In a sense, from a cleansing perspective, or the types of data or the formats that it, the descriptions or that the data is in. So the great thing about the tool, it automates the process to do that, give a confidence level linked on to the classification. Remember, the algorithms have been trained to provide that. So it doesn't matter in what format, it gives you what your actual state of your data is in. And your data doesn't lie. Not in this case. And it varies. So in certain cases, we find that the quality of the data is in a worse state, and that you are only able to do through the automated process of classifying 50%, but then we'll have a scraping exercise, or we will have a data enrichment exercise, which is separately to enhance the quality of the data and then redo the process. And if it's so bad that it just says screw, then the smart capture comes in, or it might be required that the customer need to go to the warehouse, or a cataloger needs to get involved to provide more context. But it's a
It
full
starts
circle.
it starts with the data. It's a full circle, but it starts with chicken and egg problem, maybe. Having said that, Stian, you have been sharing your screen, patiently waiting to showcase the demo. Can you, yeah, can you take it away?
Yes, thanks. I think I'll just want to quickly stop at that point we're discussing now regarding the score. So yes, it regards the quality of your data, but that is in relation to, in context of where you're classifying it. So UNSPSC and GS1, we have the GPC standard here for GS1, are a little bit different. So it talks about that match between, or the score relays the match between your product, how that's described, and how the standard matches to that. So you could get different scores to the different standards, but if you're just going to have the word screw in there, you're going to get a low score either way. Okay, so I just wanted to start with that one, but we'll look at the scores just now in a second. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at a fast API application. It's running locally at the moment. And there are mainly two classifications. Like I said, UNSPSC on its own, and then the GS1 standard GPC. So for both of those, we have two endpoints. The first one is just a quick one to bring back what are the top levels of each one of these. If you are a company that only operates in live plant and animal material, you might want to limit that in every single one of your products that you get back. That's what you want to classify. So just to give that back to the user so that they can add that to the query of classifying their products. So this is the one for...
Sorry, Stian, if I can just come in there. So UNSPSC has got over 160,000 different levels that you can classify. And to clarify, if you only do electronic components, you don't want to go through the whole list. You only want to focus on the categories that is applicable to you.
Yes, 100%. And then we have the same for... So you can also just bring back what the top level is. And again, you can just limit it to one or several of these. Okay, so I ran a couple previously. Stefan, what I hope is that people would maybe post in the chat, and then you can just send them to me so we can send that and see what comes out on the other side. In the meantime, I'll just go through what I did here. I got a couple products. I think we looked at this one last time, and we updated the algorithm a little bit after this. Last time it just classified it as yogurt, but this is actually a yogurt drink. Just took a laptop and then some ball bearings, and that's what I sent in. So you can see, and I did that for both UNSPC and GS1. So this is the structure you sent it in. It's just pure JSON. Your description, array of products descriptions that you sent in, and you can limit it to one or many segments. I'm not going to limit it to segments at the moment. So we have our yogurt, our laptop, and our ball bearings. So the one thing that we've been discussing is this score. So here we see the results of these. The ball bearings and the laptop got quite high confidence scores. And you can see it classified that HP laptop as a notebook computer, which is correct. High score there. Ball bearings, it also got 95. And it gives you the whole hierarchy with their keys. So the UNSPSC has 4 levels of the hierarchy: segment, family, class, and commodity. Commodity being the lowest level. So you can see for the drinking yogurt, it got frozen yogurts. This is UNSPSC. What we looked at last time is the GS1, and we can have a look in a second again. We've got a score of 70, which is not necessarily a great score. This is something that we would review and see if there might be a better fit somewhere. Okay, we did the same for our, you see the GS1, send in the same articles, and now according to their standard, you can see that it's now being classified as drinking yogurt, which it actually is. And now it's got a 95 score. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe there is no category for UNSPSC for something called drinking yogurt. So that's why the score is not as good as it is for GPC, where there is something called drinking yogurt. The laptop, 95, it's got tablet laptop. It is a personal computer, portable. That's right, again, a high score. Ball bearings. So you can see it matches at the correct level. So this is not the lowest level of that hierarchy, but it's the lowest level where we have that match. So it's that steel ball bearings, it matches to bearings, bushings with quite a high score. Okay, so let's quickly have a look. I want to run one or two of them live.
So, Stian, just while you're doing that, I just want to make a comment. It doesn't matter what classification system. If you've got your own taxonomy, the foundations of our models are set up that we can handle any taxonomy. When we started off with UNSPSC, we weren't sure whether we would be able to do GPC. But once Stian trained, it actually worked very well. And that opened up the door and said, okay, we can train on, or we can classify on any model that is required by the client. It just requires a bit of setup time.
Okay. I see we have Dutch. Let's see how the model does in Dutch. It's specifically trained on English and specifically what standards are English. But let's see what comes out. What I want to do is just take the English with as well. So we'll feed it both. Just like that. My Dutch is correct. It should be white sport socks. Am I right? Okay, let's put that in.
Yeah. And if you could add a LED light as well, I think then there's a question from
One, okay,
Yaku.
LED light, great, we'll do that. So we'll send in a couple. This will take a while, a couple seconds.
I just
Because
want to make a comment as well. Remember, Stian is working at the back end of the system. Once an API integration is done, this happens seamlessly, and this happens within your MDM or your ERP where the request is generated. In the case where we call it manually do it, or you send us a data set, we will follow this procedure. So it can either be done by API, or we call it a manual procedure when you send us a CSV file and we upload it into the system and do the classification.
so now the copy and paste from good old Excel gives us trouble. Let me just quickly fix that. It's not gonna be happy with that. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's important to mention that exact that this is the raw guts that we are seeing.
Yes,
And normally with
needs to
Normally
be.
with API, it's set up that these things are automatically fed in the correct format. When you do it manually, we humans, there can be typing errors or spacing errors.
Just give me a sec. Okay. Just want to get the JSON right for this. Okay, so we have the Dutch, the English, LEDs. Okay, let's give it a spin. You would have seen that I'm starting with GS1. So that's kind of more geared towards consumer products. It feels like in the MRO world, we go for, we go to, sorry, very much live. All right, we're running. So it's going to take a couple seconds now. But what I was saying is that we found that UNSPSC is more geared towards MRO kind of products. So when we do classification for mining companies, that's what they prefer. GS1 is obviously our barcoding world. So GPC is the standard for that. Okay, so let's have a look at the results. Oh, it is not. It's not happy with the Dutch. No, so it's obviously not happy with that. Let's see how we go. Okay, it's got it's got your socks, Stefan. It didn't
Right?
get your peanut butter. For the English, yeah, it got peanuts, nuts, peanut butter there. White sports socks, it's got the sports socks again. LED light, yeah, it's got that LED for that, also with quite a high score. Just want to run the whole thing again with UNSPSC and let's see how that runs, how that looks.
I just need to make a comment. So on this version, is English is the main language with the different classification standards that you get. I know UNSPSC is available in multiple languages, but what we have found is the different languages might not necessarily have. This is version 26 of
Yeah,
UNSPSC,
yeah.
and the GPC is also the latest version. Now, in certain cases like ETIM, a client will provide their ETIM classification because that's also very specific per country and per region, per language. But then obviously your scores go up.
Okay, so on our UNSPSC side, it actually got the Dutch peanut butter. Sports accessories it's got. Okay. Peanut butter again for English. Sports apparel this time. Protective socks. So with the translation, that's definitely something we can fine tune for going forward. The English definitely doing better. LED lights again, yeah, high score, and it's got LED diode lamp. Yeah, Stefan, if there are new incoming questions, I can pop them in. But that's pretty much the demo for the day.
Yeah, I've asked the audience if anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Thank
I think it's very interesting to see that it gives the correct confidence scores, right? So yes, it does
you. Yes.
some misclassification is not the right word per se, maybe, but it does have some difficulty with some words, but it does give the correct interval with confidence interval with those as well, the confidence scores with those as well. So I think in
Yeah.
practice, integrated in a user interface or in a workflow, this is where the human comes into the loop, where you get a list of products with lower.
Yes, exactly right. We found where it gives you the 95s and up. That's all right. But obviously, with that little 10 we saw, if you order your what the human needs to take care of from the lower score going up, that's the workflow that you can tackle the issues in.
And also the thing is, if you've got 350,000 or 400,000 items, if you only have to check 7 or 8,000, it's much better. It's a shorter time. And it might be that you say, no, okay, translate those to a different language to enhance your score. In other words, another language that can be done, but it does the heavy lifting. That's really what the system is supposed to do, is to do the heavy lifting, but keep human in the loop. You can't take human out of the loop.
New message?
Some more examples that I might want to sort of more on the MRO side of things, because I think one of the most sort of, I would say, uh, mind draining things is classifying tens and tens and tens and thousands of very similar products that all have similar names or similar setups. And you gave the example of the screw in the presentation. I added another screw to this as
Okay.
well, where I think that this is exactly the type of product you would not like to have. I mean, it doesn't even make sense to have a human classify this because the cost of the classification, the man hours involved in classifying it is way beyond the profit per screw, basically. And you need to sell lots of screws to get this to make that a business case make sense. I think return on investment is what Isaac already mentioned. I think that is.
Okay. So we have these two, am I right? Hey? Okay, let's just copy this.
And
Sure.
Stian, while the system is executing, maybe I have a question from Harry who says, like, can we search searching a product by manufacturing country, is that possible? So, for example, China versus Mexico. Is that a
Sorry, I missed that.
so? I'll wait until you hit execute so we can wait. Yeah. So the question from Harry is searching a product by manufacturing country. Is that possible? So China versus Mexico, for instance.
So per country, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, maybe I can just come in there,
Mhm.
Stefan. So remember the UNSPSC and GPC is not a country classification system. It's a global classification. So it looks at the actual product itself, whether it's a screw, a nut, a bolt, hydraulics, pneumatics, food. It doesn't look at the country. If you want a taxonomy based on a country, we can separately bring that in. But the identifiers, that classification or taxonomy rules needs to be there that we can train the system to apply those rules when it does classification. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, let's see. I think it also depends a bit on the use case, of course. So mapping manufacturing country or manufacturer is usually done at the onboarding step and depends, of course, on the quality of data that you get. I think what we're doing now is mapping based on title of a product. And it's very difficult to get the manufacturing country from the data that we now put into the system.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. We'll have to think of a bit of a bespoke solution for that if we need to map to a country. That's something we can think about. But yeah, I just quickly want to come to these. It got it that it's a hexagonal nut. The first one, that hex nut you gave us, and then the second one, machine screws. Also, both of them with quite high scores, so got those right. But I mean, exactly to your point, you don't want to spend all that money having a person specifically sit for each and every single screw. If most of your problems are sorted out with a 95 and higher score with a system, then you're good.
Yeah, and especially with the whole sort of hierarchy of keys and titles and families and classes and making sure that it works that is
Yeah, exactly.
costs a lot of time and therefore money. It's also not the most inspiring work. I'd rather have a copywriter or a content editor or whatever doing something valuable with their time that drives revenue. Of course, mapping something correctly to the right standard does drive revenue. Yeah, rather have the AI
Yeah.
do this for me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we saw some examples live now being classified. That was pretty much the demo. But if after the meeting there are some more ones, Stefan, you can just send them to me. I'll have them classify and send the results back. But that's pretty much the demo from our side.
I think that's a very good idea. If there's anybody with an inquiry,
Excellent.
special inquiry, to have that done. In most cases, we find that clients ask for, a bit of advice on their data because their data is special, and we provide that service. But yes, I can make contact via you, Stefan, to get into contact with Stian.
Especially if you don't feel comfortable having your product data mapped in public, definitely reach out.
Yes.
And I think, yes, we can do one or two, but if you have a list, I think definitely get in touch and probably Isaac and Stian can map those without any issues. If you have any other questions, so regarding AI or agentic AI or the mapping, you can put them into the chat right now or reach out to us after the call. I'm not sure, Isaac, if you have any closing comments because we're also coming up a bit on time. Any closing comments for the audience?
I think the important thing is if I look at the development, at the speed that it's going and what we can do now in comparison to 6, 7 months ago is absolutely huge. And it just gets more accurate, more cost effective, and the system learns so much more. So our abilities to do multi-dimensional work using our AI and agentic AI makes it easier for clients and much faster to either find opportunities within their organization where they can increase revenue or save cost, because that's what it's about. Yeah, I think that in closing.
No, I agree. Like, we have been in touch for 4 years. We have seen machine learning turn into AI. And we have seen sort of the rise of agentic AI and the growth in confidence numbers and accuracy in these models grow beyond sort of what a human is actually able to do. And especially sort of the combination of the human with this type of tooling and integrating this into a workflow is, I think, the sort of key to making sure you can do this at scale with accuracy, with actual sort of confidence that there is a human in the loop that checks all the products that have a low confidence score from the tooling. And I mean, since the launch of ChatGPT and the hype train around AI, I've been struggling to find tools with actual real live applications beyond sort of the ChatGPT wrapper that you see so often, or things that actually work in practice. And I'm happy that we are able to show this to the audience, show AICA data, and show the practical implications of using agentic AI and how it can benefit an organization, and not just check that box with, are we using AI in our processes, and present to the board or to shareholders that we're using AI in our processes, but actually driving value and getting to a return on investment within weeks, months, instead of years, or just being sort of innovation theater for, well, whoever you are reporting to. So really glad that we can show this working tool and, yeah, value delivering tool that is actually using AI instead of maybe humans on the background, which you also see a lot of things of in the world. Now, having said that, are nearing the end of this hour. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and wrapping up. So if you have any further questions, I'll be sharing Stian's and Isaac's profiles and links to their profiles. And I'm pretty sure that you can find them as well on your own. We'll also be showing a recording of this session with everyone. So if you have any things you want to revisit or review, you can do that later. And if you have any questions about product data or AI, feel free to reach out to Isaac or Stian. And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to help you either with the actual AICA data tooling or something we can create custom just for you. But having said that, thank you all for your time, for joining this session. Stian and Isaac, thank you for your time and
Thanks very much.
and showing the tool and showing it in practice with all the sort of difficulty with Dutch.
That's
and
great.
also how it actually worked with Dutch as well. So having said that, hope to see everyone in a follow-up session. We'll be hosting lots of sessions this month on product data, but also on product data and AI. And specifically tomorrow, we're doing a very interesting session with the sort of more, I would say, fun tools. Not to say that this isn't a fun tool, but a more, I would say, funner tools of the AI thing that we're doing with Morten Naas, the CTO of Bluestone, and Hendrik van Zwol, an AI magician. So be prepared well, I'm curious what he's going to show, because he hasn't even shared that with me as well. Thank you for your time. See you next time. And I wish you all a very, very good day. Bye-bye.